Bonjour! Bonjour!
No. Time for bladder check.
Check.
So it's a show?
It's a lifestyle.
It's a religion.
My emotions! My emotions!
I'm still French.
Ouais, c'est pas faux.
I'm a woman, Mary. I can be as contrary as I choose.
Non, moi je crois qu'il faut que vous arrêtiez d'essayer de dire des trucs.
Okay, now I put the link, on the description. I didn't see that. I didn't put the link on the description. That's why maybe you couldn't join me directly on YouTube and you were just watching me on Patreon. Come on YouTube! Come on YouTube so we can talk together on the chat. 3%? I'm impressed. Hey! Hello! Michelle! I'm gonna call you like that. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right in your way, In France, it's Michelle, but I already told you that. I think that I already told you that writing it to you. Hello! So you're there, and the other person who was there maybe earlier? Portuguese too, that's right, you're Portuguese. You're speaking Portuguese. Tick, tick, tick. I'm gonna wait maybe if the second person wants to join us, on YouTube so we can talk together on the chat. You know me, I can really talk during entire hours all alone, but this live session, it's better if we can talk together like that. If I can read your comments, that's better. I'm really organizing this live session at the right timing, I'm really at the middle of the binge watching of Avatar. I finished this weekend the episode 10 of the season 2. That's it. I can tell you right now that the episode 8, yes, it was the episode 8. I think that I never cried so much for Avatar The Last Airbender than what I cried during the episode 8, which is weird, because the episode 7, I hope that you already watched Avatar The Last Airbender. If you did not, maybe I'm going to put that live session, in replay on YouTube. The chase, no, not the chase, it's Zuko, the episode 7, it's Zuko alone, and the episode 8, oh yes, it's the chase, you're right, it's the chase. So I was saying, if you are watching this on YouTube, I'm gonna put on the description, time things, so you know that during this timing, I'm gonna say spoilers about Avatar The Last Airbender. If maybe people are binge watching it with me, maybe it's the case, but I think that everyone already watched it. I'm discovering it. And yes, episode 8, I cried like hell. Which was really weird because the episode 7, which was about Zuko all alone, and all of the flashbacks and all of what we learned during it and everything that happened, and I was so sad and I had a lot of time, tears into my eyes, but only tears, And the episode 8, I cried so much. I think that really Iroh is right there now. Zuko, yes. Oh, a younger Iroh? He was already old in a way, in a weird way. I mean, his face didn't change a lot and he was already an adult, but we didn't see him losing his son. We didn't see how he reacted and all. I'm not sure that I want to see that, I'm not sure that I can handle that really well. I'm stressed about it, that someday maybe it's gonna happen. Yes, I cried during the episode 8 because, during the episode 7, Zuko is leaving all of that, is doing all of this thing with these Earth people, is helping them, they're trusting him to help them, to save that kid and all. and that was really great. That was an amazing episode because it was between this little adventure and the flashbacks. But during this little adventure, which was hard in a way, me, in my head, I was like, where is Iroh? Because I keep repeating each time that, okay, Zuko has to be all alone and all, that's okay. But I wanted to see Iroh being like, you know, to have his little face coming and I'm there. And we didn't have that during the episode 7, during the episode Zuko alone. So at the end of it, I was really emotional because of all of the flashbacks with Zuko. But I was also a little sad because I thought that I was wrong, that this theory that I had about Iroh following Zuko no matter what, it was wrong. And in fact, Iroh was not there. So when Iroh appeared during the episode 8 and I saw that he was really following Zuko, you lost me. You totally lost me during that moment. I cried. I was like, he's really there. He's really there. Yes, he met Toph. I made that sound because their conversation was so great. I cried again during their conversation. But then at the end, we saw that Iroh understood that Toph is with Aang. So he knows now that that's it. Aang found himself an Earthbender teacher. Now everyone knows it because Azula, she also knows that. I hate her. Okay, I'm looking at you directly. I hate her. I didn't count how many times I said it during the review of the episode 8 and maybe 9 also. I hate her, okay? So even her, she knows now that Toph is with Aang, that's it, the Avatar found himself an Earthbender teacher. I don't know if we're gonna have more about Iroh with Toph, but that moment with the 6 of them against Azula, I was really, I want that. And really, you're gonna see that when I'm gonna post this reaction video. I'm like that. I'm like, and then she's doing that to Iroh, and I'm like, did I understood that correctly? I just watched You didn't see it yet. I'm editing the videos about it right now, so I can tell you that. I can tell you that little spoiler about how I'm feeling right now after watching this episode with Azula. Right now I'm at the episode 10 and I can tell you that I hate Azula. I think that it has been a long time that I didn't hate a character so much. At first, I didn't want to hate her, like, really, I had the impression to fight to not hate her before that, because I was like, we don't know her. We know how she's acting, what she wants, the orders that she's giving to everyone, but really her feelings, what she's made of, really her character, we don't know anything about that. Even maybe accepting the fact that she's manipulating people that she loves or she's hurting them. So it was not giving me reasons to appreciate her before that, but I didn't hate her. I was not just liking her. I was waiting to know more about her. And after the flashback with Zuko, during Zuko's episode, I was like, she's awful, she's really awful. She was so mean to Zuko, to tell to your brother that maybe their father wants to kill him, and also that he's gonna be adopted by someone else and all. You were so mean, Azula, so I was beginning to hate her during this episode, and then the episode 8 and her hurting Iroh, that's it, I'm done with the girl. Like, for now, I'm done with her. Maybe she's gonna have a redemption arc and maybe she can evolve and all, But yes, she's a rebel. Don't blame me. Even as a kid, even her mother had issues with her. Yes, I saw that. I didn't put it into the editing of the episode for YouTube because I had to cut a lot into it. On Patreon, you're gonna have the full reaction part for this episode. For the episodes 7 and 8, you're gonna have the full reaction part on Patreon. And I saw that, you know, the fact that she was really not okay with how Azula was really just her attitude, what she was saying about Iroh. I saw also that Zuko's mother was defending Iroh. I love her for that, really. But I saw that she was defending Iroh, that she was defending Zuko for sure. And I saw that, yes, her mother had some issues with her, but still was not giving up on her. You know, we saw a moment when she's taking her like that, like, come on, I'm going to give you a lesson. I'm going to tell you, you know, I'm going to make you a good speech. The picture was weird. I'm going to give you a speech and all of that. Like, she didn't give up on Azula. She was still trying to change a little her daughter, Ozai. How he was with Zuko when Zuko was a kid. We don't see his face. Maybe one day we're gonna see his face. I really want to see his face at some point. For now, I still don't know how he looks like. But still, we saw some things, you know, with his mouth and all. The fact that he's not smiling when Zuko is talking, how he's acting with Zuko. Who voices? I didn't mention it, but you people, you guys, you told me who was voices Ozai. The fact that it was, I don't want to pronounce it wrong, Mark Hamill. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. I'm pronouncing it with the French accent, you know. The fact that he's playing Ozai, this parallel, you know, between Star Wars, the situation right there with a father and a son, and the situation in Avatar: The Last Airbender with a father and the son, and the fact that it's not the same with playing the father, you know, that's really well done. I mean, the fact that the writers and the producers of Avatar thought of that, it's a way, you know, to insist on what they want to do with this relationship between father and son. I want to talk about it. That's a spoiler about my reactions. Because of these flashbacks, I have now a weird theories about Zuko and the fact that maybe, you know, I was searching why Ozai is like that with Zuko. Why he hates his son. When he's using also his kid, you know, the fact that he has a bloodline to be a reason enough to be the next Fire Lord. How can you be such an asshole with your son if you're thinking of them like that, like he can be your true heir or not? And I think that he doesn't think so. And also the fact that he's like that with Zuko and he's like that with Azula, because maybe Zuko is not his son. I have this weird theory about Zuko maybe not being Ozai's son, and that would be also why Zuko's mother, she ran away when Ozai became the Fire Lord, because she was feeling threatened, because she was feeling that she was in danger. Why did she escape? You know, there is a reason also behind that. And can it be related to the situation with Zuko and all? Because she told Zuko, I always protected you. Maybe she always protected him because of Ozai. I have this theory now. Don't tell me if I'm right or wrong, but I have this weird theory now which is working, you know, on my head and all. Now, a lot of families like that in real life, yes. Ozai only values people he sees as strong. Maybe also, I mean, I think that you know, into families, maybe sometimes parents, they have their favorite kid or something like that. In families like that, maybe it can happen. Oh, sorry, it's my phone. Maybe it can happen like that, but I can't see that as a reason enough to act like that with Zuko. I'm sorry, but I can't understand that. And I'm beginning to think also that maybe Azula, she knows it. And that's why she's acting like that with Zuko. Because again, why she would be like that with her brother? For me, you have to be a reason to be so mean. Or maybe that's just me, you know, and the fact that I can't imagine that people can be so mean, even more with members of their families. I don't see. I can't see it. But Zuko, he changed so much, really. And you know, that's fun, but when I'm talking about the characters, I can say now that I love each one of these characters, except for Azula. Azula, I hate you. But all of them, I love them, but for different reasons. And when I'm talking about Zuko, I have always this smile, and I was trying to understand why I have this smile, you know, where it's coming from. And in fact, I think that I love Zuko, his character, because of his development, how he evolved, and the fact that I'm proud of him. I'm proud of this character. I'm proud of him. Really, it's a character that I want to support, that I want to push, that I want to... Zuko, you can do it. I really love each one of them for different reasons. That's great. That's really great, but that's fun, you know, to analyze that, why sometimes I'm reacting like that with the characters. Oh no, I don't love all of the characters. I hate Azula, and I have also some issues with Mei. I think they did the right thing, not making Zuko as a standard antagonist. Is very complex, and I love him. Same, really same. At the beginning, you know, during the first episode, when I'm thinking about how I was feeling about him during the first episode, Zuko, I was really like, he's really the perfect teenager who is so impulsive, who is not obeying to his uncle, who is acting like he wants something, so he wants to have it, and that's all. He doesn't care about anything else. And in fact, he's more complex than that, for sure. And little by little, he's growing up, he's evolving, he's also confronted to things, and is understanding that he can't have what he wants, and he has to change some of the things that he's doing, that he wants. He's really, you know, evolving a lot each time. And for now, for where I am into the show, again, episode 10 of the season 2 is totally lost. The kid is totally lost into his mind. I mean, he's lost. Mei, the gloomy girl. Mei, really, since the beginning, we know it. She's a bored teenager. She's always bored of everything, of life, of her parents. And I was handling that, you know. I was not hating her for that. I was even loathing, you know, when she was doing that. And then I watched the last episodes, and when the two of them, you know, the two girls, they attacked Sokka and Katara, she reacted the same, like, oh my god, you're so weak, it's a boring moment. I exploded. Really, I exploded. Because I was getting emotional about all of the other things which were happening during this episode. Because I was also tired. I told you that on Twitter. I was tired during this moment, during these days, so I was more emotional than usually, and I was less diplomat than usually. So I said a lot of wrong stuff to Azula, and I did a lot of wrong gestures, fingers to Azula. I'm sorry because of that, but yeah, I was less diplomat, and Mei the same. Really, I was less diplomat. I was really like, I can't handle you anymore, girl. You're just so annoying. And telling to people that they are annoying, it's making you annoying, okay? Phew, I hated that. I was talking about Zuko. Yes, Zuko needs to learn also to ask for help, and Iroh, he totally understood that. And maybe I'm beginning also to think that at some point it's gonna be with Aang and all guys. Like, I'm even beginning to think that he can be their fire teacher. I'm not sure of that, because Zuko, he has his own path already to take and to do. He has a lot of things to do already on his own. I'm not sure that it can be compatible, you know, to be also Aang's teacher. But I'm thinking of it, maybe. Ty Lee and her chai blocking techniques, she's strong. Because of that, you know, because of these techniques, you are saying chai blocking techniques. Okay, let's go with this word. I had trouble to find a word, you know, during this episode. So I was saying acupuncture technique, you know, because, you know, it's with points like that. It's making her powerful, you know, to know that, to know how to block someone. Not only the bendings, because she did that with Katara before, but during this episode, she did it also to Sokka, so she can block anyone. That's making her so powerful, and I think that I like that, what she's doing, because it means that she's not really attacking people, she's just neutralizing them. And I appreciate her for that, because she seemed also at first, you know, during this first scene with her, she seemed a little naive in a way. So I was like, okay, maybe she's not going to be the best character, but she's not going to be the worst of this girls' team. And yes, I appreciate her. At least I don't hate her. I don't have bad feelings for her like I have for Mei a little and for Azula a lot. You agree? Okay. She's nice. I have trouble to remember her name each time, but she's nice. Mako, the voice of... Oh! I'm gonna read your comment, because I'm not gonna put the chat, you know, during the replay. Mako, the voice actor for Iroh, died when almost finishing season 2, so there is another voice actor that completes his work. Okay. I think that I would have heard it, you know, the difference. And thank you, you know, that's not a spoiler. I'm not considering that as a spoiler. And even more, I prefer to learn it like that with you than to discover it, to wonder about it, to think that maybe it's a change of casting, and then to check it on my own on the phone and to discover that, in fact, it's dead. You know, to discover it into that way, it wouldn't have been great. So... okay, now I can be prepared for that, you know, for the moment when his voice is going to be different and to not have to check it myself. Okay. It was because it was... See, I still have some trouble with the news. I hope that it was because of the fact that he was really, 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 really old and he died. And all of his family was there around him when he died, and all of them were hugging him. That's it. The new actor does a good job. I think so. I'm really, you know, the more I'm progressing into Avatar, and the more I think that these writers and these producers, you know, of the animation, they took it as a show. In fact, they really thought of it, they really wrote it as a show, as a movie, as, you know, the kind of shows that I like, the fact that they thought about everything, every detail. It was cancer, it was an heavy smoker. Yes, don't smoke. That's a good decision. I'm not smoking neither. Okay. Still, he was with his family. Shh. Don't tell me if he was not. For me, he was with all of his family when he died. Yeah. I was saying what? I was saying... I can't remember. We are talking about Zuko, about Iroh, about the fact that they changed the voice. Okay, I can't remember. That's not important. Before that, I was saying that maybe Zuko at some point is gonna be with our guys, and I think that I want that to happen at some point. Maybe to not be Aang's teacher, because he has a lot of stuff to resolve, Zuko, but to join them at some point, I think so. I really want Zuko to realize that he doesn't have to be his daddy's boy, and that his real destiny is to be the next Fire Lord. I can really see him as the next Fire Lord. I can really think that he can be a good one, a fair one. He's gonna treat his people well. So I want that for him. And if I want that for him, he can join Aang and our guys, because they all want, in fact, to defeat the actual Fire Lord. Maybe it can happen like that. We'll see. I am reading, I made my homework before this live, and I wrote some things, that maybe I wanted to talk with you if no one was gonna join this live session. I prepared things to say, no matter what. And I noted, yes, that also Aang changed a lot. Again, if I'm thinking about the first episodes of the season 1, Aang, how he was during this one, and how I was feeling about Aang during this ones, I was like, Aang is so pure, he's so naive, he just wants to play and all. I remember that I was even a little annoyed by the fact that he was just playing and all, and he was not focused on the fact that he had to defeat the Fire Lord, even before us knowing the fact that he had to learn all of the bendings, and in that order before the comet arriving and all. Even before that, I remember that I was like, Aang, come on, really, you are just thinking about playing and all. Okay, you're a kid, okay, you're pure and naive, and I love that about you, but it's maybe a little too much. And if you think about it, again, from where I am, the episode 10 of the season 2, is not playing anymore. Not a lot. The episode 10, they tried a little at the beginning of it. They were talking about vacations, and I was shocked by it. Them talking about vacations. But yes, he's not playing anymore. And when he learned also earthbending with Toph, he had to close himself. That was really, he needs to be solid, to close himself a little when he's doing earthbending. So that's interesting also, his evolution. Katara and Sokka, they're evolving, but a little, we don't have big change like that for them. At least it's not the impression that I have. Sokka evolved a lot, I think, with Yue, with what happened with Yue. And Katara, she evolved also with the fact that she is now a master of waterbending, and all of what she learned with her master, and also with her feelings for Aang. We have little things like that for her evolution, but I want more. For these two, I want more. I want them also to evolve. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I want something like that for them. It could be great also to have that for them. Oh, yes, I noted one thing that I wanted to say. I already said it during a review of one of the last episodes. Poor Appa in the library episode. Yes! Shh! I finished this episode, the library episode. That's all. I didn't watch anything after that, so I don't know what is happening to Appa. My theory about that, at the end of this episode, so the series that I have right now, it's gonna be You know, the next episode is gonna be about them. I was gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you. I think that they're gonna live an all adventure in the desert, because now if they don't have Appa, how are they, you know, moving out of the desert? Like, Appa put you there. How are you gonna go out from this place? I think that they're gonna live adventures right there, and at the end they're gonna find. I'm sorry for the verbs, I have some trouble today. And at the end they're gonna have some issues with finding Appa, where he is, you know, with these people and all. But I think that when they're gonna find him, they're gonna see that Appa is alright. I mean, these people, why they could capture Appa? I don't think that it's for meat, you know, for eating him and all of that. I don't think so. I think that it's more for transport reasons or for strength, you know, for his force. Maybe they imagine that he can be useful for that. They're gonna be a little disappointed if they think so, because I really think that Appa is not gonna obey to them. For me, they really took him like a regular animal which can help them. Maybe I'm wrong. I really don't want to be wrong about that. I really love Appa and Momo so much. Like, when I discovered, I don't know in which episode it was, the fact that maybe they can be hurt during combats, I didn't appreciate that moment, you know, when I understood that, okay, so they can be hurt. I thought that they were safe, you know, they are the animals, that's not a good word for that, but the pets, you know, they are just the companions of our guys, so I thought that they were gonna be safe. To understand during that episode, again, I can't remember which, that maybe they can be hurt, I was not okay with that. But right there, that moment with the desert and all, I don't think that it can be something bad for Appa. For our guys, yes, because they have to get out from the desert, but for Appa, I don't think so. Appa and Momo are both voiced by T. Bradley Baker, the dude does amazing animal sounds. Okay, I didn't know. I mean, it's logical now that you said it, that of course some guy, you know, someone is making their voices, but I didn't know that, yes, someone is making their voices, the two of them. Okay, I hope, you know, I'm really trying my best to avoid spoilers on the comments. You know my rule with that. When I'm beginning to read a comment and I see, you know, the first words and it can be a spoiler, I'm erasing the comment. Really, I'm not even letting the time to that comment to put a doubt into my mind, and I really want to avoid spoilers. But I read one which was not made like that and which was made as a joke, so I was like, do I have to believe you or not? Are you telling me the truth or are you joking? That person said something like, can you imagine if one day Momo is talking or something like that? And I think that that person was joking because that person put a lot of smileys, you know, a lot of smileys with laughing out loud, you know, like it was fun and all. So I think that it was a joke, but that person put a doubt into my head, and now I don't know why I imagine an episode with Momo and Appa talking to each other, maybe during a weird moment, like we are seeing all of the characters dreaming, even Appa and Momo, and into their dreams, they are talking to each other. You know, I don't know why I'm imagining a moment like that, like a dream or an hallucination, or maybe into the desert. They can have an hallucination, you know, because they don't have water and all. You know, I'm imagining something like that, an hallucination, dream moment with Appa and Momo talking to each other? Because we saw that they are talking to each other during the cave episode. We saw that when Momo was out, he went to see Appa and he talked to Appa. So they talk to each other. I want to know what they are talking about, you know, the two of them together. It can be fun. But yes, I want to protect them also. I'm really considering them as characters also of this show, this animation. I don't know why also, but I also blocked, I can't remember in which episode it was, someone told to Aang, you'll see at some point Momo is gonna be important. It was not so clear. In my head, I made it that clear, but it was not so clear. That person said, your friends are gonna help you, even Momo maybe can help you. I think that person, maybe it was Boomy, maybe that person, you know, said it like that. For me, I saw that, you know, as the writers telling me that at some point Momo was gonna be important. You know, almost like Gollum in Lord of the Rings. He's not gonna die. Momo is not gonna die. But you know, almost like that, like you'll see at some point Momo is gonna be important. It's gonna help you a lot. That's why during this episode with the yin and the yang fishes, you know, the ocean and the moon spirits, when I remembered that Momo was keeping an eye on them, I was like, go Momo. Really, Momo is gonna protect them. Momo is gonna be there for them. And when Zhao took the spirits, I was really like, Momo, Momo, where are you? And I even, you know, look at me like, really, you are waiting for Momo to save the day right now? A lemur is gonna save everything? Just wanted a sushi snack for Momo. No. No, I really think that Momo can feel stuff. During the chase episode, Toph is feeling that the girls are coming and all 2 or 3 times, but Momo is feeling it also one time. Momo can feel Momo can feel stuff. Or maybe I have too much love for this lemur, you know. Maybe I'm expecting him also to be useful that much at some point. Too much also. I'm putting too much hope into that lemur. Maybe. Same for Appa. It's really weird, you know. Like I said, I really love all of these characters. I mean, Iroh and Sokka, they are right there into my heart, and that's why also I reacted so bad at the end of the episode 8, because of what is happening at the end of the episode 8. I really can't imagine any of these characters dying. But with this show, this animation, and how I can think that the writers are doing it, I am thinking of it, and all, I can imagine that at some point one of them is gonna die. It's gonna kill me. I prefer to warn you. You know, if at some point one of these characters is gonna die, I prefer to warn you that I'm gonna be a mess. Real mess if it's happening. Like how I was at the end of the episode 8 when Azula hurt Iroh. The anger and the sadness that I had during this moment, even if I was sure of the fact that he was still alive, because of the fact that Katara offered her help to heal him. So it means that he was still alive. So I was sure that he was still alive, that he was not dead. So even if I knew that, I reacted after this episode is proving me that none of these characters, none of these characters can die. I'm not gonna handle that well if it's happening. But like I said, I think that with how I imagine this animation now and how I imagine also these writers doing it, I think that it's gonna happen. It was really cute watching Zuko take care of Iroh and even making tea. Yes! During that moment, I was really like, that's nice. We appreciate the effort, Zuko, really. We really appreciate the effort. At least for once, you want to take care of your uncle, to really be there for him, to do for him what he's doing for you. That was cute, that was nice, and I think that it was because of that Iroh didn't say anything and drank that tea, that awful tea that Zuko made for him. He's such a good uncle. About Iroh, I said it at the beginning of this live. I don't know if at some point we're gonna see him, you know, with his son. We didn't see his son. And I don't know if at some point we're gonna see that. I think that if we're gonna see that, I'm gonna cry again for sure. But I think that it's related with the fact that he can see the spirit world. With how I'm imagining Iroh right now, I can think about something like he lost his son and he tried to go to the spirit world to save him, to do something with it. Like, it was Zhao who told Iroh, I know that you tried something with the spirit world, that you went into the spirit world. I can't remember the exact word that he used for that. But if everyone knows it, you know, like, Zhao is not a friend of Iroh. So if Zhao knows also that Iroh tried something with the spirit world and all, for me, it was after his son's death. Because also, if it was before that, Ozai, he would have used that excuse, that reason, you know, when he talked with his father, to tell his father, you're not gonna put that person on the throne, he tried that thing on the spirit world, you can't trust him, you know, he would have said something like that if it happened before his son's death. So for me, Iroh going to the spirit world, it's related to his son's death. I don't know. I'm thinking of that. I have a lot of theories for Avatar right now. And I really hope that I'm gonna have an answer for all of them, at least for the more important of them. Oh, I'm really sorry for the light. No, that's worst. I'm sorry, I'm gonna try. Yes, maybe like that it's better. But yes, I'm progressing into Avatar The Last Airbender. You're gonna have on Patreon a week with 4 episodes in a week. And then you're gonna be back with 2 episodes during the week because of the fact that I want to try Shadow and Bone. Maybe I'm gonna try it, you know, and I'm not gonna keep my reactions about it, you know. Maybe I'm gonna watch 1 or 2 episodes and I'm gonna see that it's not for me. But I really want to try it because people are so enthusiastic about it and are really presenting it as the next Game of Thrones, something like that. And I think also that it's great. You read the first book? You haven't read the rest? Okay. I don't know, you know, I know that I can like that kind of show, you know, with an universe like that, with rules for this universe, with this fantastic environment and all. I can appreciate that a lot. The fact that people are so enthusiastic about it, it's also pushing me to try it. And I saw the trailer of it and I was also really hyped by it, like, yeah, it can really please me. So I was thinking, why not trying it? Because I think also that for that kind of shows and movies, it's also great to have the reactions, the thoughts of people who didn't read the books. I think that it can be also interesting, and maybe I can bring that, you know, on the reactors team who are gonna react to it. Maybe that can be something great. Maybe I'm gonna want, you know, to also read the books after that, maybe. And I don't know, I want to try, at least I want to try, but you know me, if after the episode 1 and 2, I don't think that my reactions are interesting enough and my thoughts also are interesting enough, I'm not gonna post these reaction videos, and it's gonna be a good sign, you know, for you guys, because it's gonna mean that you're gonna have more episodes of Avatar. Okay, one interesting thing that normally lots of these fantasy book series are based on medieval Europe, but Shadow and Bone gets visual inspiration from old Russia. I saw that, you know, that it was different. You know, it was different for the context. I don't know how to say it because it's in another universe, but you said it. Normally, it's based a lot on medieval time, and right there, it was more in regular, you know, our time. So I think that it can be interesting for that. And I'm not sure about the old Russia situation, you know, if we're gonna feel it or not. I can see that maybe it's the case for the books, but are we gonna see it into the show? I mean, it's made by an US production, so I don't know if we're gonna have that or not. We'll see. I'm having some doubts, you know, with that. I know how some US productions to translate, you know, an atmosphere for another country. I don't know how to say it with English words. I think that you've got what I meant by that. I know that sometimes they have some issues with that, so we'll see if it's happening. I mean, we'll see. You're gonna see that. Me, I'm not gonna see the difference because I didn't read the books, but you're gonna see that. I hope that you're gonna love it. I hope that all of these fans, you know, these hardcore fans of the books, they're gonna love this adaptation. I really want that for them. But I'm also a little afraid of them. If I'm deciding to react really to this show, to post my reaction videos about this show, I'm a little afraid of these fans, these hardcore fans, and how they're gonna react with a reactor who didn't read the books. It's always like that, you know, when you are doing that, you are really walking on a line each time when you are saying stuff, you are trying to... It's hard. It's really hard. I'm trying my best to not create any conflict with hardcore fans when it's the case, but I want also to be honest with my thoughts, with my reactions. I can't lie. During the reaction part, I really can't lie. But in the intro and review, I'm trying my best to be diplomat, even when I don't like something and all, I'm trying to say it in a diplomat way. But you know, I saw that with The Mandalorian, and that the fans, the hardcore fans, the majority of them were nice and were supporting me, were encouraging me, and were giving me good information on the comments and all. But I had some comments which were not really nice, like, why are you reacting to this show? You didn't watch that, you didn't remember that, that's not useful, your reaction is not useful and all. I don't know. Maybe I'm too used to The Expanse and the wonderful community of the Screaming Fire Hawks and their support, you know, with me discovering this universe. Maybe I'm too used to that. All fandoms have trolls and immature people. Even if I don't agree with you on something, it's nice to see other points of view. I think so. I really think so. Oh, I'm sorry, the picture freezed. I think so. I really think so about the fact that having someone else sharing with you his or her point of view, it's always great for you because it can maybe change your mind. And if it's not changing your mind, at least you know now that other people can think like that. And I think that it's even more interesting when it's about the adaptation of books or of other things like that, that some people, they know it, and some other people, they don't know it. And I think that when you're creating a new thing, a show, a movie, and all, you can't expect all of the viewers of this show, this movie, to have watched the first thing. Like, it's the case for The Mandalorian. You can't expect all of the persons, all of the viewers who are watching The Mandalorian to know everything about Star Wars. I watched all of the movies, but I'm not an hardcore fan. I don't remember all of the lines. And with all of the spin-off that they're gonna create for Star Wars, you know, the one about... Oh, I can't remember how to pronounce her name. Ashoka. I have Akosha. I'm sorry, Ahsoka. Ahsoka. I don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah, we're gonna have one about her, one about Boba Fett, one about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Also, I'm really this one is intriguing me so much because of the fact that they are taking also the original casting. But you know, with all of the spin-off that they're gonna create, you can't expect every viewer of this spin-off to watch all of the spin-off and to watch everything about Star Wars. Even, I mean, the producers and the writers of this spin-off, they're gonna be forced. They have to. That's logical, you know, that when they are writing their spin-off, they can't think that everyone knows everything about Star Wars. Of course, the regular stuff about this universe and about the important stories and characters, but not everything about everything. I don't know. Me, I'm gonna watch the one about the Jedi. I'm not gonna repeat the name because it seems that I can't say it right. And also the one about Obi-Wan Kenobi, for sure. Maybe I'm gonna react to it, but I'll see. I have been an happy person ever since I decided to stop worrying about continuity. Marvel, Star Wars, DC, I don't care if the movie series are not connected. If it's good, I watch it. That's a good choice that you made. That's really a good choice to just accept a movie, a show for what it is, and if you like it, it's great, you know. You have also to appreciate something, a show, movie, for what it is, not only for what it represents because it's put into that universe and all. I don't have that, I'm sorry, with Marvel and DC. I can't tell you things about it because I'm not... I watched some movies, but not all of them for sure. And like for Star Wars, I can say that I'm a regular fan, I'm an enthusiast fan. I can say that for Star Wars because I really watched all of the movies and I searched for information and really I'm interested by that. For Marvel and DC, I can't say that, you know, that I'm a regular fan. Really, I didn't watch all of the movies. And I said it, you know, when I began The Boys, the show The Boys, that I have some issues with superheroes, movies and shows. I loved them a lot when I was young, when I was a teenager, and maybe at some point I lost that dream about having powers and all. And I stopped watching that kind of movies, and then after a certain time when I thought about maybe coming back, I didn't find what I wanted to find, you know, into them. Hello, Taco Face! Hello! I'm glad that you can join us. I'm sorry we stopped talking about Avatar The Last Airbender. I think that we talked a lot about a lot of things about Avatar The Last Airbender, but I'm glad that you're there also, that you joined us. Oh, that's my dad is trying to call me. No, not now. I'm gonna call him back. Don't worry, I'm a good daughter. we were talking about The Mandalorian and the hardcore fans of The Mandalorian, and the fact that I'm a little afraid about the future hardcore fans of Shadow and Bones. Shadow and Bone? Not Bones. Shadow and Bone, I think. I'm saying you what we are talking about that. And if I'm not reacting to Shadow and Bone at the end, you're gonna have more episodes about Avatar The Last Airbender, and I'm already projecting, you know, to watch, it's The Legend of Korra, I think. You know what I'm talking about because you are fans of Avatar The Last Airbender. I'm already projecting myself with maybe watching and reacting to the spin-off, the show, the animation after Avatar The Last Airbender, the one about Korra. I think that it's a good word. It's a good name, I mean. Because I don't want to let that universe for now. The fact that I'm already at the middle of the binge watching right now, I'm like, it was just the beginning. I just began it, in fact. Like, only 3 seasons into that universe. That's not all. I don't want it to be all. I want more. But that's only... I'm sorry, I was thinking at the same time that I was talking. It's only gonna be 3 seasons with these guys, no matter what. You have the answer if you wanted to know. I really think that I'm gonna watch it because yes, I finished the episode 10 of the season 2. That's what I was talking about. So already the episode 10 of the season 2, I'm gonna finish the show really soon, in fact. There are some comic books you can read that take place between Avatar and Korra. I haven't read them, but I hear they are good. There are some comic books, that can be great with another story. If it's between these 2 shows, okay. That can be great. I'm already reading things, you know, related to my reaction video. Yes. The Expanse! I'm at the book 2 of The Expanse. So I'm okay, you know, when I'm really into a story, into one universe, when I really fall in love for this universe, I want to read stuff, you know, which are related to this universe. But it's taking me a lot of time because I'm reading a lot of stuff at the same time. And I have my channel, my videos, but I have also my personal life and I have also my professional life. So it's taking me a lot of time. I think book 9 comes out later this year. You're telling me book 9 when I'm just at the book 2. Let me the time to read them little by little. And you know, I'm also taking pictures when I'm reading something which is interesting, when I'm reading something that I appreciate, when I read something which is different into the books and into the show, when I have a melancholic moment and all, I'm taking picture of it so I can make a thread maybe at the end of my reading of the book 2 to tell you guys all of that, all of what I thought of it. I don't want to do it little by little because again, it's taking me time to read it. I'm not a good reader. I was a good one when I was a teenager and all, and as an adult with everything that I have to do, I'm not reading enough, at least not as much as I want to do. I think Avasarala doesn't even show up in book 1, right? Yes, she doesn't show up at all in book 1, and I saw that also. I thought of that also yesterday when I read some chapters of the book. The fact that Alex is not really an important character, in fact. I mean, I'm at what? 25% of the book 2, and it did not have any chapter for him, for sure, but also when Alden is talking, when Naomi is talking and all, he's not there. they are not considering him at all. And there is a moment, you know, when they are all into the ship with Prax. Prax is there. And Alden is giving orders to everyone. And Alex is not even there. You know, it was a meeting to share thoughts and all, brainstorming. And Alex was not even there. It's a thought, you know, that I had yesterday when I read that chapter, the fact that into the books, Alex is not as present than what he was into the show. It's like that. And Avasarala, she was not there during the book 1. She's right there during the book 2. That's so great. I almost, you know, had a little when she appeared into the book. That was great. Same for Prax. Taco Face, I don't know if you are watching The Expanse. I'm sorry if it's not the case. Really. I said it, this live session, it was to talk about Avatar The Last Airbender, and I think that we talked about it during at least 50 minutes. So that's why at the end, you know, I was like, maybe we can talk about something else, and I'm beginning to just go from one subject to another. Like I'm always doing, guys, you know it, I'm a big talker. But if you have questions about what I think about Avatar, don't hesitate, we can come back to that, and you'll see I still have plenty of stuff to talk about for Avatar. We talked about Zuko for sure and all of his evolution, and the last episodes that I watched, the episodes 7 and 8, and I told you guys as a spoiler that I was a mess, a total mess at the end of the episode 8. I'm not watching that show, but it's okay. Watch it. If I can give you an advice, if you like good shows which are well written, with an all new universe, with political and society subjects, and which are also about, I was gonna say it's not fantastic stuff because it's not happening into that kind of universe, into sci-fi stuff universe, you can really like this one. Me, it was you guys who advised me to begin The Expanse, and the fact that you sold me The Expanse like it's Game of Thrones with all of these different characters, with political, society subjects and all, but put into a sci-fi universe, so it's pushing it harder, you know, the fact that it's about political stuff, society subjects, and that it can happen in all days and all, that you can project yourself into that. It gave me a good reason to try it. I wanted to try it because you guys, you told me that. So yes, I was saying still for you, Taco Face, that we talked about Zuko, about the fact that I cried a lot after the episode 8, which is the chase, you know, which is when our guys that are fighting against Azula, and Azula is hurting Iroh. I didn't take that well at all. We talked about that. We talked about the evolution of Zuko, how much it changed, but the fact that now he's really lost. And we talked about Aang also, how much it changed. Oh, I wanted to say, I didn't say it earlier, their relationship, Aang and Zuko, the writers, they are so subtle, you know, with that. It's really all about their looks, how they are looking at each other, how they are talking to each other almost. It's not what they are saying to each other, it's how they are talking to each other. Almost like the sound of their voices. Aang said it, the fact that maybe in another world they could have been friends. I can't wait to see episode 8 reaction. You're gonna see it, and you're gonna have the full reaction part for this episode, and same for the episode 7. I edited the 2 of them yesterday, and I put the full reaction part because really I reacted too much. which is logical. Episode 7, Zuko's flashbacks. Episode 8, all of this, you know, with Iroh coming back. Switch break! You're there! Hello? You didn't say that you were there. They do a lot of episodes where the Aang plot and the Zuko plot mirror each other with the same character elements. I saw, you know, the fact that they mirror each other with the same character elements. Okay, I understand what you meant by that. Yes, it's the case. I'm thinking which episode it was. I think that it was the episode 1 of the season 2, no? Yes, it was that, I think, when Azula is coming, you know, and is lying to Zuko. I think that the battle that Zuko had on the boat with her, we had these mirror moments with Aang fighting also someone else. There is something like that. Episode 7 is Zuko alone, right? Yes, it was this one. All of these flashbacks, all of these informations, all of these persons being mean to Zuko for no reasons, no apparent reasons, being so mean to him. I had some trouble with that. And I said it to Michelle earlier. That's it. I hate Azula. I hate her, really. Because of what she did during the flashbacks, and you know, I didn't hate her before that because I was waiting to see more of her, how she's really, you know, her feelings and emotions. And during the flashbacks moments, I was like, in fact, you were like that, mean to your brother. Even as a kid, you were mean also when you were talking about Iroh, even as a kid. All of what you want into your life, it's to be mean at your brother, your uncle. I was mad at her after the flashback episode. And then the chase episode came and she hurt I was gonna say Zuko. No, she hurt Iroh. I'm done. I'm done with the girl. Don't even try. I'm done. She hurt Iroh. Like a princess surrenders with honor and pim, she's trying to kill Iroh. Yeah, I'm done with the girl. Maybe she's gonna have a redemption arc. Maybe she's gonna have a redemption moment. Maybe we're gonna discover that, in fact, if she's doing all of that, it's because of that, that, and that. Maybe she wants to prove herself, you know, to her dad, and I've got that, you know, the fact that she has to prove herself because she's a girl and she wants to be maybe the heir, you know, the true heir of Ozai, who already loves his daughter so much and already hates Zuko. I have a theory about that. I told Michelle before, I have a theory about maybe Zuko not being Ozai's real son, which could be a reason for maybe why Ozai is so mean with Zuko. The fact that he's not considering Zuko as his true heir, the fact that he said to Zuko, you were lucky to be born, and also why maybe his mother, she escaped like that, she ran away because she was feeling threatened or something like that. That's a theory that I have for now. Don't tell me if it's right or wrong, please. But I have this theory right now for Zuko. Do you like season 2 more than 1? Oh, it's an hard question. Do I prefer it or not? It's difficult, you know, because during the season 2, I learned all of that about this universe. I mean, they had to build it like that, you know, to not give all of the information like that, to not have only big episodes because they made us like all of the characters little by little. By, you know, we needed to have these episodes only about characters, to have some episodes to tell us some information little by little. So it's logical, you know, that of course, now that I watched the first half of the season 2, I can see that more stuff are happening during this season 2, the beginning of this season 2. More important stuff are happening. We have more important moments. We have new characters, important, interesting characters with Toph, with Azula, with the 2 girls and all. And with the flashbacks, the informations, that's really interesting and that's really great. But it's not better. It's great and it's getting... That's it. It's not the season 2 which is better than the season 1. It's the entire story which is getting better episode by episode. Not the same. You will probably know that better when you finish season 2. Also, I think that I can also make that comparison more after finishing really the season 2. But you know, I'm not like that. I'm not making that kind of comparisons between seasons and stuff into a show. If the season is bad, I'm making that kind of comparisons. But if they are great, I'm like, they are great because of the other seasons before that. Because of the fact that the other seasons made me love these characters, this universe, and all. Like that. You know, it's almost the case with the Lord of the Rings movies. They are getting better each time, okay, but in my heart, I will always love and in fact maybe prefer the first movie because it's with the first movie that I fall in love with these characters, this universe, this story. I'm like that. Maybe I'm working like that, you know, it's how I'm working, how I'm functioning. But yes, the flashback episode with Zuko, I had tears a lot of tears, but I cried really almost like too much. Maybe some people are gonna say that I cried too much during the episode 8. Even me, I can say that I cried too much during the episode 8 because I cried during moments that I was not supposed to cry. Like just to have Iroh on screen and to have the confirmation that he's following Zuko, is keeping an eye on Zuko, is right there if Zuko needs him, and no matter what, he's not gonna give up on his nephew. I cried. Just to think about their relationship, I can make myself cry, you know, because I love their relationship so much. I think that it's the one which is the best into the animation for now, you know, their relationship, they are writing it so well and it's the best one. At least for all of the time, all of the things that they wrote for this relationship to show us how this relationship is functioning, is evolving, is built, and the respect that they have for each other, the fact that they are helping each other, the fact that they are there for each other and all. It's the best relationship, at least for now, from where I'm standing, episode 10 of the season 2. The scene is very sweet character moment. Which scene are you talking about? The moment, you know, when we are seeing Iroh right there into this episode, into the chase episode. It's a very sweet scene moment. The end of this episode, like I said earlier, still now, see, I have still issues with this aunt, with not being mad, angry. I was so mad at Azula. I said a lot of wrong words, a lot of insults. I made a lot of wrong fingers to Azula. That's why now I hate her character. And that's why I cried also like that at the end of the episode 8, during the episode 8 and at the end of the episode 8. And I was sure that Iroh was gonna survive. Like, I knew that he was still alive, that he was gonna survive, and still I was mad and sad like that. That's why I said earlier to Michelle, if at some point something bad is happening to one of these characters and I'm beginning to think that it's gonna happen, someone is gonna die, I'm gonna be a total mess. I'm not gonna be okay. There are no wrong fingers when it comes to Azula. Yes! No wrong fingers. But I'm not gonna do them now because I'm a polite person and I don't want to do that. But when I'm that mad, that angry, I'm making them. Not in public. You know, only when I'm all alone. In public, I'm still too polite. You know, I'm really... I don't like conflict, so I'm really not like that. But when I'm all by myself, yes. And it's fun, you know, because I edited these videos yesterday, so I saw myself trying to calm myself at that moment. The best part of your reactions, it's when the French comes out. Yes, maybe I can understand that. I mean, I can understand why you think that, because my French is coming out when I don't have this little filter, you know, that I have into my mind, like speaking English. I'm really like, you have to speak in English. I'm not forcing myself, not anymore. It was the case for the first videos of my channel. Really, you can see that if you're watching the first reaction videos of my channel, you can see that the English is not coming really easily into my mouth and I have really to think about it twice before saying something. But right now, I don't have to do that. See, I can make a live, I can talk easily to you, even if sometimes I'm blocking on some words, it's coming easily. But still, I have this little unconscious filter into my head, which is telling me in English. But when I'm getting too emotional, or even more, in fact, when I'm too mad, too angry, it's the French which is coming out. In fact, the French is coming out really for insults and bad words, because maybe it's more easier. Maybe it's easier to swear in French for me than in English. I mean, okay, the fuck you is working well, but maybe when I'm mad, the swearing is coming in French because it's easier for me, in fact. And that's how I learned that I had a favorite insult in French. With these reaction videos, with the... How many times, you know, I had to translate the ta mère. It's like that. It's definitely easier for me to count in Portuguese than in English. It's like that. Maybe we are really swearing easily. Oh, I have some trouble that night. It's Friday, okay? It's the end of the week. I have some trouble sometimes. Maybe it's easier for us to swear with our original language, you know, our birth language. Maybe that's why it's easier. Okay, guys, I love to talk with you, really, but I think that I'm gonna end this live right now. It's already 1 hour and 20 minutes that we're talking together, and that's already a lot of time. You know, at first I thought that I was gonna do 1 hour like I did for The Expanse, but then Taco Face, you came, and I was like, no, I can't leave right now. I have also to talk with him. I have also to... With him or with her? I don't even know. I'm saying him and he since the beginning, maybe right there and also into my head, but I don't even know. What is your real name? If you don't want to say, don't say, but in my head, I don't know why you're an him. Maybe because in France, you know, taco, it's a E, you know, in France. I found your channel from the Euphoria special episode 2 reaction. Oh, I didn't know. I mean, maybe your first comment was for this video, but I didn't remember that it was for this reaction video. It's rare, you know. I mean, for you to find me with a Euphoria reaction, you're not allowed to watch my Euphoria reaction, and that's okay for me, you know. I don't care. But I didn't know that you want on my channel and then on Patreon because of Euphoria. That's great. I love that idea, you know, that even with shows that I don't suspect, you know, that a lot of persons are watching my channel, especially for this show, people continued to watch my channel after that. It was an honor talking to you. Take care. Thank you. Thank you very much. It was also an honor and a pleasure for me, really, these live sessions. The first time we were only 2, you know, it was Martian, I saw, I think, if I'm remembering it correctly. It was one person with me and we were just talking together, you know, and that was great. And today we were 3 and that was great to talk with the 2 of you. Really, 4 persons are watching this live, and I'm saying hi also to the 2 other persons which are mute, who are mute, who are silent. It's okay also if you don't want to talk with us. It's okay. I'm saying mute. Oh, I'm saying mute. No, switch break. Talk with us also earlier. I remember. So to the other person who kept the silence, that's okay also. You can keep the silence. It's okay. But that was great also. That was also a pleasure for me to talk with you. My name is Omar. Okay, so now in my head, I can talk to Omar. I can sing that when I'm talking to Taco Face, I'm talking to Omar. That was great. I really appreciated that moment. That was a real pleasure for me, and I think that maybe also it was a pleasure for you, and that's great. And we talked about shows that we love. That's the best way to end this week. You know, we are all ending our weeks, so that was great. I'm gonna end this live right now. I'm gonna put it on YouTube on Monday, you know. Everyone is gonna be able to see it, to watch it, but no one is gonna see the chat, no one is gonna see your messages, and also no one is gonna be able to comment this video because I'm making these live sessions for Patreon. I want it, you know, to still be exclusive for you guys. That's really a moment that I'm taking to talk with you and all, and I want it to still be like that, a moment with us. I'm sharing it with people so they can watch it if they want, if they can be interested by what we are talking about, but they can't comment because of that. Because it's a moment between us that we are allowing people on YouTube to watch. It's working like that, on that way. Okay, I'm saying goodbye to you guys and have a good weekend. Switch break. You could have used, you know, the monkey one. I really love the monkey one. I'm always using that one, you know, the... It's okay. Don't worry, in my mind you're gonna still be Taco Face, but now I'm not gonna be worried when in my mind I'm gonna call you him or he. You know, I don't want to say him or he for the wrong person, you know. Everyone can be whoever he wants, so now I know that it's okay for me if I'm calling you like that. Okay, I'm saying you goodbye, guys, and have a good weekend, all of you. All of the 3 of you, which were not silent, now that we are 3. Bye bye.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine?
Great.